Yeah, so we have the first attendees joining. Okay. Good morning, Vivek. Good morning, Ritesh.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining in.
Good morning, Suma.
Good morning, Kalol and Deepak. Good morning, Mohammed.
Hi, Kalol. Hi, Aishwarya.
Good morning, Himanshu.
Good morning, Magesh. Hello to you too, Mayank.
Good morning, Kiran. Good morning, Samson.
Hi, Kishore. Good morning. Morning, Sohit.
Okay, I think we can start. Good morning, everyone. I would like to start with our first session of this series together with IALD. My name is Michael Dehn. I'm the General Manager for Sales and Marketing here at Messe Frankfurt, India, which is part of one of the leading global exhibition organizers and the organizer of Light and Building in Frankfurt and LED Expo New Delhi, LED Expo Mumbai, and Light Plus LED Expo India. The LED Expo Knowledge Series is a sequence of panel discussions on interesting and thought-provoking topics pertaining to the Indian lighting industry. We are happy for IALD, the International Association of Lighting Designers, to join us as a knowledge partner for this series. This series of knowledge sessions is leading up to the hybrid LED Expo New Delhi, which is scheduled from the 18th to the 20th of November 2021 at the India Expo Mart in Greater Noida. The term hybrid exhibition describes the fact that we will hold a physical exhibition with virtual elements, allowing some participants to have digital interactions during the show. In May 2022, we will then have the LED Expo Mumbai, which eventually leads to India's largest lighting event, the Light Plus LED Expo, in November 2022 at Pragati Maidan in Delhi. Before we start, I would like to introduce our today's moderator to you. Suma Kandige is the moderator of today's program, and she's an independent lighting designer with more than 13 years of extensive hands-on experience in lighting design, and also a member of IALD. Coming from an engineering background, she has learned to balance the art of science of lighting in her projects. Under Light Vista, she has worked on and delivered various lighting design projects, the majority of them being corporate interior projects. Good morning, Suma.
Thank you, Michael. On behalf of IALD India, I would like to thank you and the entire Messe team for hosting us and collaborating on these webinar series. A warm welcome to everyone here. I am Suma and I will be your host for today's event. I'm a professional member of the IALD, which is the International Association of Lighting Designers, headquartered in Chicago. IALD India has been invited by Messe Frankfurt to curate a set of webinars as a part of the LED Expo 2021 online edition. So Dr. Amardeep Dugar, along with the IALD India coordinators and the other IALD members, have conceptualized a series of webinars in the form of panel discussions on topics pertaining to the Indian lighting industry. So this will be the first of many such interesting and thought-provoking discussions on lighting. So I would say stay tuned to the IALD India and LED Expo social media pages for updates on the future webinars. Some minimum housekeeping rules. Request everyone except the panelists to be on mute. In case you wish to address a question to any panelist, please type out the name of the panelist followed by a question in the Q&A window, please. And we will try to take up, as many questions as possible, depending upon the time. So actually, before we actually start this discussion, I felt it would be interesting to understand the audience that we have today with us. So Seema Durrell, if you could quickly have a poll, and if you could, put it on screen, I would request everyone attending to take 15 seconds just to answer it quickly. We're just asking you what's the nature of your business. So you're a lighting designer, you're a manufacturer, or architect, LED dealer, distributor. Okay, so we do have a good mix of people, and I'm glad to see we have more than 50% of people representing the manufacturing segment. Thank you, Seema. The topic for our discussion today is design and manufacture of lighting equipment, India's challenges. Next slide, please. So, like in any industry, we too are facing challenges in the Indian lighting industry today. But then before at the time of preparing for the webinar, while we were discussing, Harmeet happened to mention challenges are nothing but opportunities. So that I thought was a wonderful way of looking at the whole thing, and it kind of resonated with me too. So it would actually greatly benefit our Indian lighting community as such if we identify the opportunities that are hidden, within each challenge. So to discuss this, and more, I would like to open up the panel discussion now. So I'm very honored to have with me 5 professionals to take this discussion forward. Next slide, please. Each one of them has worked in the Indian lighting industry in diverse ways and bring to the table their unique perspectives. A common factor between everyone on the panel today is that they are all part of the IALD family. Firstly, I would like to welcome Mr. Anil Walia. Mr. Walia is a respected authority in the lighting field with over 50 years of experience as a designer, consultant, and an educator. His career in lighting over this time span, he has seen different eras from GLS and fluorescent lamps to the present day's LED. He has vast experience and exposure in practically all areas of lighting except direct sales, like product design, including optics and electrical, production areas like fabrication, casting, extrusion, injection molding, paint, powder coating, plating, and so on, setting up the very first photometric laboratory in India, quality control, framing of standards, providing guidance on setting up luminaire factories and testing facilities, guiding on import, export, and so on, including lighting design. Sir, your insights will be a key determinants for today's discussion. I would like to welcome our second panelist for today, Mr. Harmeet Singh Isar. Harmeet set up his award-winning lighting design practice, Design Matrix, 15 years ago. In addition to setting up a lighting design firm, his keen interest in product design led him to set up a product design firm named Design Objects. As an innovator, he likes to challenge the conventional and the socially acceptable. Looking forward to insights, from the dual perspective of a lighting designer and a product designer from you Harmeet, today. Our third panelist is Mr. Hussain Burani. Hussain is the founder of Hazel Lighting, a lighting manufacturer based in India and China, with 15 years of experience in the lighting industry. Apart from pursuing an MBA, Hussein has also pursued a master's in lighting design from Wismar, Germany, with the intention of developing lighting products that would appeal to lighting designers. It'll be great to hear about your experiences, Hussein. To bring the perspective of another Indian manufacturer into the discussion, I would like to welcome Mr. Pranay Chaudhary. Pranay is the founder of Ray Bright Technologies, a lighting manufacturing company based in Ambala, whose core strengths have been being involved in various R&D projects, customization, and making import substitutes. Last but not the least, I would like to welcome Mr. Zubair Ali Ahmed. He is an architect and an interior designer with over 20 years of experience in providing design solutions. He established Studio Plus, a procurement firm for architectural and decorative lighting, in 2012. As a hardcore lighting enthusiast, he actively participates and supports every lighting event in the world, I would say. In the context of today's discussion, he would bring the perspective of working with various Indian and international lighting companies. Welcome, everyone. I think maybe now we could stop sharing the screen and open up the panel discussion. I would actually like to start off this discussion with a question, to both Mr. Anil Walia and Harmeet. Do you think, India is geared up to fully embrace Made in India when it comes to design and manufacturing of lighting equipment? Walia sir, over to you.
Thank you, Suma, for the introduction. I am also thankful to the Messe Frankfurt and IILD India chapter for giving me the opportunity to share my views and opinions on this subject today. Yes, I believe it is true for 50 to 70% types of LED luminaires and system as needed for the quality projects in different applications like residential, commercial, retail, education, hospitality, and so on, where lighting design is for people and not empty spaces. This is more true to support your slide that there is 50%, the opportunity is there, and we can certainly do it with this. As per the IEC, in simple language, the luminaire is the assembly of housing, optics, and control gear for the lamps. LED being semiconductor and having capability of getting digitalized for dimming, color change, and so on, and the control gears are electronics in nature. Further, in some cases, the LEDs are built in as part of the housing, which is also meant for thermal management. One has to understand, now we come to the main theme of our question. One has to understand and accept that Make in India LED luminaire means the assembly of luminaires to begin with in well-equipped factory, having assembly and testing facilities managed by a group of knowledgeable people with understanding of electronics, optics, thermal, and control management. I have already implemented this process in some of my projects where required using my knowledge and experience in the field through resourceful manufacturers and integrators. Let me share some my experience. For designers' quality lighting projects, key is the selection criteria of LED quality. For most, it is energy saving through LEDs. But for us, as designer, LEDs characteristics like efficacy in lumen per watt at 85 degrees centigrade, CCT, macadam ellipse, and changes in it when it is hot for color consistency, CRI and R9, RF and RG as per TM30 and so on are important to us. And these are to be studied for different application before recommendation. This LED needs to be imported for the projects as required because the most brands keep stock of standard products in India. All quality parameters need to be checked with the help of portable spectroradiometer. Optics like lenses and reflectors as well as DALI 2 dimmable drivers, including D8 type, DT8 type, as needed for the tunable white, were also from the European brands. Luminaire housing, that is pressure die cast and extrusion used for assembly, are from Indian manufacturers. Finally, the luminaires are tested for the thermal management using thermal camera. Success story of ancillary industries in Indian automobile industry is well known for its precision and finishes. In lighting today, there are few, but will join more once demand increases for the 50% opportunity. Maybe one should be ready to pay a little higher price for that. Luminaire efficacy, efficiency, and light distribution diagrams are measured as per LM79 in NABL accredited laboratory. In India, there are more than 40 NABL approved photometric laboratories equipped with mirror goniometer. Same way, BIS certification as needed for safety can be obtained. Today, approximately 247 numbers of BIS certified laboratories are there in India. The drivers and sensors were tested in integrators lab for compatibility to avoid any problems at the site later on. In India, there are few such knowledgeable SMEs and are already doing assembly of quality products with right type of LEDs and electronics as needed for the project. I think as lighting designer community in India, we should encourage, support, and guide them where required for incorporating their products in our projects. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Harmeet, would you please like to add on your points of view in this?
So thank you all for having me. And as most of it is very well captured by Mr. Walia, sir. And I would rather put it like my opinion, which is a very generic opinion onto it. I think a lot is done, but a lot more needs to be done. It's something which we have to look into. And also the whole statement of Make in India was taken very literally in the industry. Make doesn't mean manufacturing, first of all. That's, we confused ourselves, a lot of the industry has confused ourselves to make it Make in India as just making products. So which is what I would suggest is to be looked into. And same goes with the product design. It's just not sketching. Sending a sketch to a manufacturer is just not enough, because he is competent, and but at the same time he needs a lot of insight from our people like product designers to get in that thing. Both of it, and also looking at, we need to solve the challenges which are there, as Suma mentioned, which are a separate than skill set. I would say more of intellectual property issues, economics, which is very important. The industrialization needs a lot of economics attached to it. And what I have been exposed to a lot of manufacturers, I've seen their facilities, they are beautiful. And there are some which are equally capable people, but still need a lot of economics or a lot of funds for them to actually be able to create what we were wanting to create in our context. And the rest of it, I think Mr. Walia has put it very well. I wanted to say the same thing. It involves industrial design and ergonomics, thermal design, optical design, understanding of solid state, material and properties. It's like luminaire design is not as simple as a lot of other subjects, because it has a lot of combination of technologies getting into one product, which goes as a luminaire into the market and also affecting our lives. So, and the other aspect is health. So yes, and I think we need to learn a lot. We have to unlearn a lot, which is another thing which we have to look at, both manufacturers and designers. And I think that's the key to it. And we are at a very nice trajectory. We need to keep it up. That's what I would say.
Thanks, Harmeet. At this point, actually, I would like to bring in the perspective of Indian manufacturers. So Hussein and Pranay, as Indian lighting manufacturers, what would you say are, some of your key challenges, if you could list out, And would you agree that, challenges are nothing but opportunities waiting to be capitalized?
Thank you, Uma, for the introduction. To answer to this question for me would be that, the skilled labor is always a problem for each one of us, number one. And the second thing, what I feel is that we do miss a good vendor base for the lighting manufacturers. Because see, I'm doing a project here where we require a 5-axis laser pipe cutting machine, and we don't have any here. So I have to rush to an automotive guy and seek an appointment from him. So that's the problem. That we need a very good vendor base. We are not that big enough to, have everything at our own. Like we can't buy all the machinery at our own. So that is one point. And there is also another thing that, we are compared to some cheap products sometimes. So people do not see the quality. That is also a problem. And I would say there is a lot of dependence on imports, especially in optics. Rest everything, chips, everyone buys from outside. There are only a few select manufacturers who make the chips. But optics is something which we really need to work upon. So, and low volumes in our digital sector is also an issue. So the global players, the big players, they can cater to the world. We are right now in a stage where we are making for India only. So we have to reach the place where we will make for the world. Then only we can, do this. So
does it also come as a part of being, lighting primarily being an SME in our country right now? Mostly.
Yeah. Yes, because people get fixtures from outside, just put in the chips. I don't know. I mean, there is no knowledge base involved in that. So just put in the chips, the reflector, and that's it. The luminaire is split. So that is not there with the other European manufacturers. They have a knowledge base with them. So how to cut the glare and all that stuff. So that is the issue here. But slowly and slowly, I would definitely say the trust factor is slowly and slowly people are trusting in products, because now there is an opportunity, because now well-designed Indian products are available in the market. And people who go for European products, they are also sensing that, the local support is, see, in a lighting product, say after 2-3 years, you require some maintenance, local support. So that is something which is available here. So people are preferring us, and we are getting a lot of custom jobs, and I see a very bright future ahead for our manufacturer.
Hussain, would you like to add something, please?
Thanks, Suma. Thanks for having me here. We need to understand that specification-based lighting industry is a sub 100 crore business on an average, and the consumer-based lighting industry is a sub 1,000 crore business in general. So you will never see a Tata or a Reliance setting up a lighting manufacturing unit, right? So it's primarily, as everybody mentioned, a small and medium entrepreneur-driven business or industry. So one of the challenges is that resources are limited, which in effect results in the fact that the biggest challenge I see is research and development, where we are not able to focus on research and development because resources are limited. So we are in the business of inspiration than innovation. We are following rather than creating. So what's the solution to this? I mean, this is a problem that's going to stay. And what's the solution? The solution, I feel there is a greater need of industry integration, which includes product designers, lighting designers, educators. So that would help the manufacturer to understand what is the need and develop products based on that need. And I personally feel that is where platforms like IILD, Lydia, etc. play a very important role in bringing the industry together. So to me, the biggest challenge is that of lack of research and development. Rest, Pranay has already put in the basic challenges that we are already facing as manufacturers.
Thank you, Hussain. I would now like to bring in Zubair also into this discussion, because Zubair, you have experience working with both Indian and international brands. So what is the trend you are observing? Is there a visible shift towards indigenously developed products now?
Thank you, Suma. Thank you for my introduction. I believe the craze for global brands is gradually fading. This is obviously from my perspective. Indian clients are increasingly, they want to buy products and brands that are manufactured in India. In fact, there was a survey done by KPMG across different industries, and 60%, with obviously different age groups, 60% of them desired and are looking at replacing foreign brands with indigenous products. Companies like Abbey Lighting, who has a great manufacturing facility in Mumbai, Lighting Technologies, who are based out of Bangalore, they have a subsidiary company in India with a foreign company. And then K-Light, who's been in the industry for a long time, who's based out of Chennai, are doing a phenomenally great job when it comes to indigenous made products. I'm sure there are many more. I just named a few of them. Well, the sentiment, there is an inclination and sentiment towards buying indigenous products. We still, when it comes to decorative brands, we still prefer to look at international due to the product design and the the know-how that they have. But when it comes to, I think, architectural lighting products, LED architectural lighting products, we are in a fantastic place, especially with this Make in India mission that's been on, and the sentiment that's there. I think we're in a good place with the government giving all the support that's required to the manufacturers, Suma. This is what I feel.
Okay, interesting to note that. I think continuing on the same thing, I would now request Seema to pull up our second and final poll question. Let's see the pulse of the audience too. How strong would you say is your inclination towards made in India products? So if everyone could just take a couple of seconds to just answer this. We'll just keep this on for about 10 seconds and pull up the results again. It would be interesting to know this. Okay, no surprises there. So I think majority of them feel that it depends upon the quality and the pricing. At this point, Harmeet, being a product designer, like from your product design experience, can you briefly share with us your experience through the process of developing, a luminaire right from scratch, from the drawing board stage, particularly in our Indian context?
Wow. I generally take about 40 minutes to define this with my clients, but I'll just try and
I know. I'm very sorry, but
so it starts with a problem statement. I would say defining a problem is the key to any product design, and these are so then it comes. It could be a problem we solve, a solution that one needs to improve. That could be also the case. There is already something available which we want to improve. That is also a product design vertical. And sometimes you get into completely designing something new, which is another aspect of it. So it could be falling broadly into these categories. Establishing that is very, very, very important for us to in the beginning of it, and then drawing board, Suma, really, and it's way too far. What I would say, you have to change several hats. First, you have to become a researcher, then you have to become an economist, and then you have to become then you become an artist, or then you become an engineer. That is the product life cycle, which is what we need to do. So after, as I said, so-called creating a problem, we call ourselves also sometimes for the manufacturers creating a problem. Pranay will second on to it, and he always struggles with me on that a lot. So it starts that then we do research on users, makers, and the purpose of it. It's these three aspects are very, very important for us. Next step then we get into is how many and how the manufacturing is going to happen, putting the machinery in place. What is the skill set of that manufacturer, so that we can give him something which is producible for him, and also at the same time we ask a lot of questions that how many will you sell, because that will decide what process has to be taken, what kind of tooling needs to be done, what kind of vendor base needs to be created for him to do that. Then it comes to the favorite part, artist, setting up a form to it. And but at the same time, we also have a boundary condition listed. This process, this fit, this material, this thing, and this is what we need to produce. See, we are designers, we are not completely artists, but art is also a part of design, which is what is to be followed in our own context. And then finally, the engineering hat comes. That's where we make sure that all the promises in technicals, parameters, the achievements have achieved. That is what we need to be. And sometimes we make the artist bleed in this, but we make sure that he's not dying due to that bleeding, but at least adapting to his form to get to that. So it's a very detailed process, and it needs to have all these linear steps. It's not a parallel process. It is a linear process. That's another thing. You cannot jump to the second step without going to the first one. And it needs to be linearly talked about and come to that. So finally, talking to our clients again after the production has happened and he's seeing the problems what he's faced, maybe in manufacturing, some of the assembly issues, then we can start correcting it. This happens about after first production, which is also the issue. So it's a life cycle. I don't know. I just wanted to condense it. I would like to speak a lot more about it, but I guess I'll stop there.
Yeah,
So
I think Harjeet, it's an altogether another discussion that we should definitely, see on how this design process can become more of a collaboration, for the benefit of the Indian lighting manufacturers.
Absolutely.
Yes, we should definitely take note of it as a future discussion point. Zubair, based on your experience of having seen, manufacturers based in India and abroad, do you see any difference in the approach towards product design and development between an Indian manufacturer versus an international manufacturer? Could be European, American, or Australasian manufacturer?
Thank you, Suma. Having traveled and visited many international manufacturing facilities all across the globe, in fact, in Europe and in Asia as well, I don't see India as being far behind when it comes to development of products. We have the state-of-the-art production facilities. Some of the manufacturers have great facilities. They've invested a lot in the technology. What I see on the other hand is the product design, which is another key important part. There are big opportunities. The opportunities are immense when it comes to product design. If we invest our resources, in product designers and research and development, I don't see a reason why we cannot be, one of the leading global hub for manufacturing. I believe we need to start, like Hussein said, we need to start with education. This is very important. There are quite a few industrial institutes like IDC Mumbai, NID Ahmedabad, Gujarat, and Bangalore. There are DOD Guwahati, IIT Delhi, Kanpur. There is CPDM and Indian Institute of Science, and there is DSR in Pune, who are doing a great job. Srishti is one of the new ones in industrial design. MIT Manipal is actually, I think they have a JV now with them. So these are places where you can get a pool of talents. This is the place where manufacturers and we all designers have to look for. And I'm sure when we do this, we are not far behind when it comes to production. I think when you look at the global manufacturers versus India, internationally they invest a lot in designers and product designers. I think it's all that we need, Suma. Otherwise, I think we're in a very good place as far as manufacturing is concerned.
That's a very encouraging thought. Walia sir, I think you also had some experience in this. How do you think Indian manufacturers can collaborate with international brands? And do you think this is a good trend for the Indian lighting industry? You need to unmute yourselves, Mr. Walia. Walia sir, you need to unmute.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yes, certainly it is a good trend for the Indian lighting industry towards the step forward to Make in India program. Again, I will always give some example. In the past, I have played such a role for some European brands to collaborate with locals. In one of the brand, the supplier was getting the right optics component from European brand, and price of that product was brought down by approximately 60%, which in turn increased the turnover and brand got established. So it is a win-win situation. In another case, for the UK brand, for approximately 1 year, I advised a local manufacturer to put up entire range on the track for production. So India products got UK designed quality products as much at reduced prices. In fact, today, few European companies have already, you can say, Indian partners where for their range of products in India, essential components are brought from Europe and luminaires are fabricated and assembled by Indian partners in their brand. Similarly, certain types of drivers are also manufactured by local companies in collaboration with American and European brand based on their design norms. So this way, certainly it gives the local manufacturer the exposure to manufacture the quality products as required for quality projects and also the opportunity for export. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Harmeet, I would like to ask something more about local to you here. Like, as a country, we are blessed to be, steeped in art and culture. And, we have traditional and skilled craftsmen, and a variety of materials available in our country, So how do you think our lighting manufacturers can tap into that, and that makes that unique edge to our own products?
Sure. I think that's a very interesting zone to get into. And in fact, this is where we would be able to compete very strongly with any European international market. And they will love to buy us on that account, which is what the benefit of this zone is. See, the biggest challenge with the entire industry or industrialization in India has been that we always try to adapt to the newer bits, but we always let our old things go away, which is what I think is something which we need to look back. And for the manufacturers, I would say they are already very busy. So the responsibility lies on the designers this time, in this case, more of a product designers. Because what they need to do is there is a gap between manufacturer and an artisan. I think we need to bridge that gap. An artisan will never become a manufacturer and manufacturer will never become an artisan. It's very, very different aspects together with it. So there is a bridge which is required between them. And I think product designers, lighting designers, all of us are that bridge, which we can do. And we can do it very well. And not only at that level of what I'm trying to say is not just for the aesthetics, but for specifications as well. We have local materials which can do something interesting with it in specification level. So we need to talk about that. So a lot of research, a lot of designers themselves have to do a lot onto it. Then again, not just economics, but quality and convenience is another thing which we need to look at. Most of the time when we are talking about artisan, we are talking about cheaper. No, that's not what we need to do. What we need to do is that adapt that, create more science out of it, more relevance out of it, and then bridge that gap. And I think designers, product designers, industrial designers have a lot of role to play. We need to start looking at our local Indian resources and materials and processes and try and industrialize them. Some of the industries have done it very well, actually. Fabric and some of the industries are doing very well in that. But now it's time to adapt those capabilities into our manufacturing. Collaboration is something, the lighting manufacturer needs to go to a fabric manufacturer or a wood manufacturer, or they need to collaborate together. So all this, I think, and a little bit of design, integration is something which we can do and we should do. And more responsibility lies on us on that account, what I would say. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Harmeet. I like the idea of being a bridge between the manufacturer and the artisans. That's a lovely way to look at it. So I think now I would also like to kind of, pose a question to again, Mr. Walia and Harmeet. how can you say a good R&D based product design set apart a manufacturer from others?
Certainly, it makes a lot of difference. The products are with remarkable, unmatched characteristics and performance. In this month only, I attended research-related webinars, one from 6 labs of US and the other from European lighting company. The type of research they do before product is developed and marketing is done is amazing. Of course, funding is very much essential part of it. In India, we have to learn lessons from this to invest in research. Let me share some of the examples to make this statement easier. For one of the home office, we used the German product with LLLC, that is luminar level lighting control. It included built-in IR, movement sensors, and DALI 2 D8 drivers for dimming and CCD variation, built-in wireless control protocol program, built-in relay to disconnect with wired protocol, and so on. One must accept that such a level of integration and technology is possible only with the research. In another project, we used Italian brand products where specific area was to be used for 2 different activities with 2 different furniture layouts and creating the scene control for that. Here, the use of minimum number of luminaires with the right type of optics and control was the key to give right light where and when needed with scene control. The luminaire was slim and more efficient by 15% because of unique anti-glare optics. Further, it was to be used for the first time in India, that is client's pride. In both the cases, they are designer's product in terms of shape, form, style, color, etc., associated with functionality, which calls for qualified and knowledgeable people and facilities for research. So this is the advantage of the research product. And that is where I said in my first answer that only 50 to 70% can be done, but balance 30 to 40%, we will have to depend upon the international brands. So both will coexist. Thank you.
Harmeet, if you could add on to that and let us know your views on the importance of respecting intellectual property rights.
So before I think yes, intellectual property rights is another very interesting aspect of it, and I have a struggle with some international companies as well. So I can tell you that it's not in this part of the world, it's global. That's one bit. But adding to Mr. Walia's what has been said about the R&D, it's purely from the interaction. I'm giving this experience, which I think a lot of manufacturers friends are there in this forum. They can connect with me. What I've seen is everybody thinks it's a cost center, which is right. I would say it is a cost center, but it has the potential to save you more, because what is going to happen is research will only tell you if you really have to make a product or not. Research will only tell you if the right specification is for that product or not. Research will only tell you to make that product at a lesser cost or a better quality. How? This is only by research they can get to know. And it's completely, and what I'm also trying to say is what I've seen with the manufacturers is they're already doing this, but there is a loop what they are following: make, break, and make again, which is a loop they follow. I think already a money is going there, and there is and it's a very expensive process. This loop is extremely expensive, and my manufacturing friends would completely know what I'm trying to say, how much money goes into it. What I think is we need to correct that a little bit. They are already doing that research, what I'm saying. I think plan, feedback, make, break.
Harmeet seems to be having a little bit of an issue. In the meantime, I would ask Pranay and Hussein, do you think availability of, cheap imports is being a problem for us in India? And one more thing I would also want to understand from you, if you could list out quickly a few initiative and incentives from the government side or the industry that could help boosting the lighting manufacturing in India.
So much cheap imports are a problem because the fixtures, the chips and everything is readily available with a lot of traders who are importing from other countries. And one has to just buy those fixtures and assemble them and sell in the market. I mean, due to this, there is no people like us, they do not, I mean, we are refrained from investing in R&D and new fixture designs because everything is readily available. So that is a big problem with us, but still, I would say cheap imports doesn't have a solution all over the world. No one, I mean, every country would have these kind of imports. What we need to do is that we need to move up the value chain, like European manufacturers do, as I earlier said. They buy the chips from outside only. They don't make, most of them. But their main strength is the fixture design, the glare control, the optics, that they do themselves. So eventually we would need to do that in-house. Otherwise, if we don't move up the value chain, we can't, address the problem of these cheap imports. That is a big issue and it will remain, but I believe this is the only way to address it. So we have to have manufacturers. There are a lot of manufacturers which are investing a lot and they are coming up with new designs, tying up, as Walia Sahab said, having tie-ups is also a good solution to it. But I say we have to focus on the value addition chain of the architecture. Right? And regarding the government incentives, government is trying, I believe, since they, right from the beginning, there is nil custom duty on LED chips because they know there is no LED manufacturing facility in India, chips manufacturing. So, and there are a lot of other initiatives from Government of India, like this production linked incentive scheme, which they have introduced in this budget for the LED lighting sector. So this is a good step, I believe, but it is only applicable to a larger set of manufacturing, not for small and medium scale industries. It's a larger, because the turnover capping requirement is much more. So not for a small company like us, I would say. And there is a scheme of Government of India which is called the Cluster Development Scheme. So there, 10 industries minimum, they have to collaborate, make a private limited company, and the government funds 80% of that. So that's a very good scheme. So the various state governments and sectors have different funding this thing for that. Like in Haryana, we have a 2 crore capping of the funding limit. With the center, there is a 20 crore capping limit. So with that scheme, there is a lighting cluster, decorative lighting cluster, which has been set up in Gurugram, availing that 2 crore scheme. So I believe this is the way forward. Government is trying to help. We have to collaborate and then set up these common facility centers where all the industries can use those machineries collectively.
That I think is some very useful information, Pranay. Hussein, would you like to add on to it before Harmeet can complete whatever he was saying?
So I have a slightly different view. I mean, of course, cheaper imports are, I don't feel that cheaper imports is such a big issue because today it's cheaper imports, tomorrow it is going to be cheap local substitutes. So that is always going to be there. I mean, it's not going to change, and you can draw parallels from other industries and that's always there. So, I have had the privilege to manage a manufacturing facility in China and one in India. So from that experience, I can come up with 2 distinct points. Firstly, to say that something can be extremely cheaply manufactured outside India compared to India or in any other country compared to India is not true. So I'll explain. What are the 2 major factors that goes into a product as far as cost is concerned, since we're discussing cheaper imports. One is material and second is labor. Now, all raw material is globally traded, so the prices are more or less the same. Labor we are one of the cheaper nations worldwide comparatively. So, I mean, of course, someone would argue economies of scale or government subsidies, but that cannot be a drastic cost reduction. So that's very limited, right? Second point that I personally, the difference that I have seen is when we are setting up say a manufacturing facility in India. Again, I'm talking solely from the perspective of a small and medium enterprise. So I come up with that I'll service entire of Mumbai, or I'll service the entire of Maharashtra, or if I have a bigger vision, I'll say I'll cater to the entire India. And compared to that, you see a Chinese entrepreneur, or for that matter, somebody in Europe, they start off with which countries do I need to export to, which continent do I need to make products for. So that's the basic difference. That's something that's the big difference I've seen between there and here. And I feel it's a responsibility of we as entrepreneurs to kind of broaden our horizon and think make for the world rather than make for India, because that will help us give a lot more exposure. With regards to a second question on government initiatives, I mean, of course, there are a lot of things that we always expect from the government, but again, two major factors that I think that can change a lot is, one is that we need a LED manufacturing hub. Like Pranay rightly said, some people are going to Haryana to set up a factory. There are small hubs. There are hubs like Haridwar, Daman, but there is not a concentrated hub where you have all the resources available in one place, right? So I think that's something that is required, like an LED manufacturing hub, which will incentivize, which will encourage more and more people to go and set up units there. So that's one. Second, I feel is, again, we have had a lot of discussion of automobile industries doing aluminum forging. So we have the resources available. A government, a chamber of commerce or a pseudo government body, what they need to do primarily is have these large raw material manufacturers create inputs for the lighting industry. Like aluminum die cast is one of the biggest component that is required, and we have the manufacturing of aluminum die casting in abundance, but still larger percentage of housings are imported. Same goes with extrusion. We are rather exporting windows extrusions, facade extrusions worldwide, but when it comes to lighting profiles, we are importing them. PCBs, companies like Xiaomi, Foxconn, they are coming and setting up industries in India because of the PCB circuit board manufacturing available here. When it comes to lighting circuit boards, a lot of it is still imports. So it's not that we don't have the resources. It's just that we need to channelize them properly. And this is something that a pseudo government body or a chamber of commerce can help drive,
Thank you, Hussain. Harmeet, would you want to complete before we just had missed you for a couple of minutes?
I think I just quickly will say that we need to get out of the loop of make, break, and make again, and put a system to it, which is plan, feedback, make, break, to improve, not to correct. So it needs a lot of research and design capabilities within as well as externally to be taken from the manufacturers to be able to do that. It's very simple for them to, and they're investing a lot of money in it. So that's what I wanted to say. And I think that's where, so they need to plan, feedback, make, break to improve, not to correct, which is what is very important for them.
That's a nice way. Zubair, I mean, I'm just deviating now a little bit, but with the implementation of BIS, what has been the impact on the freedom of importing various international brands? This again, I think, like Harmeet said earlier, a whole different discussion worth a webinar on in itself. But yeah, your quick thoughts on that, Zubair.
BIS is a very controversial subject when it comes to the certifications. Obviously, it's meant for the good for India. BIS is nothing but Bureau of Indian Standard Certification. Indian government has made it very mandatory for all electrical equipment, including LED lighting, to have the certification. It's primarily, the objective was to kind of curb cheaper imports. That was the primary objective. I must admit that, initially it was very challenging for the importers like us, for the manufacturers, for the government also, to actually adapt to this certification and the changes that are happening. But obviously, the bigger picture was to promote domestic, production and manufacturing. For example, we are in the architectural and decorative lighting space. We've been importing from Europe and a few Asian countries. we all formed an association. I don't know if many people know about this, but we formed an association called DALAI. It's called the Decorative and Architectural Lighting Association of India. So this is primarily to understand the challenges that we are facing as importers, manufacturers, and all of that. And we are in touch with the ministry to communicate to them that what are our daily challenges in the business, right? So this actually DALAI is a very important association that we formed. It's a recently formed association. It really will help. And then there are. I have an example also that we had a large shipment that we were importing, and it got stuck in the BIS. We had all the certifications, mind you. Everything was there, but because of this, the policies, the way they were formed initially, so we had great challenges in getting our customs cleared, the goods cleared. It took almost like 4 to 5 months to actually have our goods cleared, and we had to pay up huge demurrage charges. But having said that, I think the ministry has recorded these challenges. They've in fact made changes in the notifications in the DGFT, and they have kind of made it a little easier for importers, manufacturers to get equipment back into India. It's a learning curve, Suma. It's a learning curve for everyone. I think it's going to get better. It's going to get easier. People who are actually planning to set up international players, trying to set up manufacturing in India, it's a very good space for them currently. If they follow the rule of the land, they get the certifications that are required and come into India, I think it's a good space to be, because I feel that India can position themselves like in a very like a global destination for manufacturing. With good product designers, manufacturers, and companies that are investing in India, I feel we are in a good space, Suma.
Yeah, thank you, Zubair. I'm getting little hints of we are approaching towards the end of the session. But then before we conclude, I would like Mr. Walia and Harmeet to quickly, throw some light on this. While on one side there is a need to support local for improving the economy, what would your advice to the Indian manufacturers be to kind of, truly make in India a success?
With my experience, I would like to give my opinion. Begin with assembly lines and then plan for backward integration. Invest in people, qualified and knowledgeable, industrial, lighting and electronics engineer, skilled labor, etc. Encourage them for CEP, continuing education programs. Invest in most modern assembly lines and the testing equipment for quality control. Get your product certified for local and export requirements. That is what I 100% support our group of people who have said that. As on date, there are 247 BIS approved labs in India, as mentioned earlier. It is, if possible, invest in own photometric laboratory to carry out research activity, or get all the product tested in NABL accredited laboratory for photometry and publish authentic IES file for its use in design programs like Dialux, Relux, etc. As on date, there are 40 such laboratories equipped with mirror goniophotometer for IES LM79 testing. Collaborate with SMEs having the automatic plant and machinery for fabrication, pressure die casting, injection molding, quality finishing, and so on. When need arises, go for backward integration. As earlier mentioned, Indian automobile industry with several SMEs is the best example to learn from. Always outsource BIS approved European brand drivers, sensors, various optics, and get branded LEDs with higher specification, which in turn will satisfy the need of lighting quality and well-being in the projects which we tackle. That is very important. For unique decorative lights proposed by the designers and architects, as well as some essential components, use 3D printed products. Make alliance, particularly with integrators and others in the project supply chain. That is the era of collaboration. individual will not be able to work. Now that in circular economy being implemented in Europe, practically all components and the luminous will be maintainable and or replaceable for recycling. Zaga is very active on development and approval of such components as needed for circular economy. India manufacturer should really, you can say, go for such thing which will help them to export also. And that is the need of the hour. Thank you very much.
Harmeet, if you would like to add to that.
Keep it. I think Mr. Walia has covered everything. And I'll keep it short. It's my favorite group. And do not lose your religion. Research, engineering, manufacturing. So that's what manufacturers need to get into, the skin of it. They need to do the step of research. They need to do the step of engineering and then manufacture, rather than just trying to get into shortcuts. Of course, all that is required, which Mr. Walia has already mentioned to the industry.
Thank you, Harmeet. I think, yeah, like, kind of, we have an overall mix of opinions and viewpoints that have come up. And I'm glad that, actually we had this first step as a discussion, because I believe we need more such involvement, with the industry, and see how we can, help and encourage our manufacturers. So it was great having all of you for the discussion. We will quickly see. I mean, we have had a lot of questions coming in over the period of the discussion. Quite a few questions, I'm sure, have been covered in the answers by the panelists. Maybe we can quickly take up one or two. And then the rest, maybe what I would suggest is if Seema, your team could collate them and pass it on to the panelists, we will, answer them and send them wherever possible on email. So I think that is the easiest way, because a lot of important questions have been raised here. There is one from Mr. Nagendra. He says, my question to lighting designers is that more than make in India, emphasis should be given to made in India, with few lighting manufacturers like us. And if the lighting designers can work with the Indian manufacturers during the design itself, companies will be able to invest in technology to create better products, if not better, or at least similar to international brands. Appreciate lighting designers' feedback, please.
I would like to pick that up.
Yeah.
This is very interesting. I think it doesn't work like that. What is happening is, if they will make for my project is going to stand in 6 months or 3 months sometimes, or 8 months. So what is going to happen is adequate research is not going to be done, adequate planning is not done, and the product is not tested. It takes time to test. Any product cycle will take no less than 6 to 8 months to actually be called a product. Otherwise, it is going to be called as an artisan art piece. And he's going to not be able to benefit out of it. So what needs to be done is, that is what I also am a little averse to, customization, which is very misused word in our industry, which needs to be contained. So what we need to do is, we already have, we do talk project wise, we talk product wise, we talk equipment wise, we talk technology wise. Because if we specifically make on a project, he's only going to sell in that project, and it will never make sense. Manufacturing is completely different. We need to be tamed as designers. I'm coming back to ourselves. Demanding undue customization from the manufacturers is not fair. Really not fair. And I can tell you, I have seen it inside out with them. It's not fair. So for the manufacturers also, they should definitely look project wise, but they should look product technology trends wise, rather than thinking of a project execution.
Agree, Harmeet. There is another question from Mr. Prakash Barjatia, which says, need of appropriate lighting education. The need of appropriate lighting education is the need of the hour, which demand for industry academic interactions. I think, Mr. Walia, if you would like to answer that. or Harmeet?
If you don't mind, I can take
Yeah,
that up.
Hussain,
Because,
Hussain has
yeah, I mean that.
done a
Yeah, so I mean, there is a lack of any course that is available. So if you want to hire an architect, you could go to a school and hire. But if you want to hire somebody for the lighting industry, it's very difficult because, as everybody mentioned on the panel, there is involvement of mechanical, electrical, electronics, and now even IT, information technology, all put together to form lighting products. So it's very difficult to get that class of people who understand all of this. So like even for a lighting design course, I mean, I did that course not to practice lighting design, but to understand. But there is nothing that is available here. So definitely, I mean, that's the discussion that we erstwhile had with Dr. Barjatia himself, that this needs to be done, and that's where this space is so important for the growth of the industry itself. Harmeet, if you would like to add.
Oh, I think that is what I wanted you to answer, because I am a illiterate lighting designer, as I call myself, not educated in lighting design. But yeah, on the job, I have learned what I've learned, which is probably most of the lighting industry is that way. But I definitely feel very strongly that there is an education system which needs to be on this account in our industry. Of course, we will find the other bits. But when we have to talk about specifics of lighting as a subject or optics as a subject, which is another education is required. We can borrow mechanical from automobile industries, thermal dynamics from other industries. We can borrow that, but we need this to very specifically looked into, and the application engineering.
With that, emphasize on the need for education, I'm taking up one last question from Mr. Umang Rajpal of LED Linear India. He has actually asked a question for Harmeet. How to create a platform to bring awareness on technicalities of a product to compare different brands, categorization of tier 1, 2, and 3 products or brands to differentiate during selection and to justify cost.
So okay, it's a very complicated and very complex thing, which I think Mr. Walia also touched onto it. I think first stage, we need to create a very strong vision between consumer and professional products. The needs are very different. Specifications are very different. Qualities required are very different. Sometimes we just have the basic parameters like lumen per watt and color temperature, and R9 also misused these days. These are just numbers, but there is a lot more in terms of physical aspect of build of that product is required. Like I can give you an example. I designed products which are used for Vikramaditya, and I had almost about 300-page manual to read through to design a product for it. So it is, again, optics were there, even the basics of driver requirements were there, but there were many more other aspects which are required. So what I am trying to say is we need to divide, a strong divide has to be there between a consumer and professional. I get specifications which on paper, when the common reviewable specifications which I get, they look same, both professional, and then I keep on asking, okay, give me the TDS, give me the B10 values, give me that value, and then it becomes differentiator. But I think it's a lot of time which goes into it, and a lot of confusion which goes into the mind of the customer or the client who's doing hiring us onto it. So I think to start with, two categories: consumer and professional. This is very important to have.
Thank you, Harmeet. I think today it has been a baby step we have taken up in this discussion, and I'm thinking, we need to include more stakeholders and continue this discussion and keep this discussion going, because as I said, we have had many more questions come up during the discussion, which we will look to address. But otherwise, it's thank you from me to all of you. It's been a pleasure discussing this with you all. Over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Suma.
Thank you, Suma. Thank you so much. And I just would like to pick up the last point from Harmeet Singh. Thank you so much for making this. You just mentioned there should be consumer and professional angle. And we as Messe Frankfurt, we represent the professional angle. And what you just said, how to compare products and prices and all of that, when actually on paper, things can look pretty much the same. Well, the only place where you can really deeply compare is at an exhibition, because you can go back and forth between manufacturers. You can go back and forth and have a look again at one product and compare it, have some conversations, not only with the salespeople, but also with the engineers. And so that is actually what makes an exhibition so useful for an industry, because the experience is much more, complete, and it's not only what you can see on a website, it's what you can really see and touch and feel.
Absolutely.
I would also like to thank Mr. Anil Walia for, he provided a very simple step-by-step blueprint to set up a fully integrated and research-driven manufacturing. I think this is, you compressed 50 years of experience in just a few sentences, which was very nice to hear. And so now we are coming to the end of our program. I would like to thank IALD, Suma, and our panelists for the very valuable insights today. I would equally like to thank our audience for staying with us for this time and for asking so many questions that we actually have to take a look at those questions afterwards. We will get back to you on those. Our next session will be held on the 13th of July. The topic will be circular economy and lighting, India's readiness. We are all looking forward to this very important subject. And of course, we will see you all at the LED Expo New Delhi in November 18th to 20th at IEML Greater Noida. And just before you leave, at the end of the session, you will see a short questionnaire. We would appreciate if you could share your opinion with us in order to make the next session even better than the first. And with that, I'd like to say goodbye to you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
everyone.